Good morning, Brandon Hardison, President of Champion Strategies, back for another day of public speaking tips for you. Once again, we do this free of charge because some of you are going to be going into the educational field, and I'm looking forward to all you great teachers doing your first jobs out there with the babies. Remember, they're just as nervous as you are, but they're waiting to see what comes out of your mouth. So, if you're going to be front of the room this coming semester, we're just trying to give you some tips on that. But we do thank you for your service because it's a very important job. Or maybe you are a new manager. Congratulations, you're just leading your teams. And once again, guess what they're thinking about? Is this the person that's going to get us to the next level? Is this a person who's just going to be with us for a short time because he or she's going to be moving on playing musical chairs in the corporation? Or maybe you wanted to be a public speaker, and like I said, the virus hit, so the conferences went down, and now we're on this tube. Whether you want to pay for it or free, we've given speeches on all types of organizations that are very reputable and can help you. Whether it's a 2 year, 4 year independent, there's many of them out there. Or maybe you feel, I don't want to pay for it. I can do it on my own. Whatever's out there, congratulations. Just do it because not that many people are comfortable doing it. So let's just unpack it right quick. What we're going to talk about today is how to use notes when public speaking without losing your audience. Because believe me, it will happen. In the days when we didn't have teleprompters, naturally, there were notes that we had to use, index cards, pieces of paper. People would do everything. And the worst thing that could happen is that your cards got mixed up, the papers got mixed up. You're silent in the front with your content. And here's the guests out there waiting, hoping you're going to get yourself back together. Try to wing it. Now you're all over the place. Doesn't make sense as far as the message. They'll be nice and they'll applaud, but I guarantee you after it's over with, they're going to say, I don't know what this person was trying to say. So now with the technology today, there's all kinds of ways we can do it. If you are fortunate enough to be on a show, there is a teleprompter, just like you see the politicians and whatnot. But once again, the speed of the teleprompter and yourself need to be on the same page. If the teleprompter is moving too fast, it's still going to throw you off. You're going to be missing the message that you're trying to leave with the audience with the content. So, just some tips. Very first one, look polished. Once again, make sure that your notes are nice, crisp, no matter how you have it. Don't bring stacks and stacks of paper. Just try to find a way to put down your content bullet points on index cards, or if you have regular 8 by 10, just make sure it's there. Write big. The bigger that you can write them, it's easier for you to look down and come back up with the content if you have to, because remember, we need to be looking at the crowd and covering the room, which we talked about in a previous video, which you can go back and watch. Number them, because you can say something, and because you're nervous, you're not taking your deep breaths, and you can go back over the same thing again, and naturally they'll sit there and smile at you, but they're going to be thinking, uh, didn't he or she just cover that? Why are we going over it? If you've ever watched any one of my videos, my favorite thing is practice, practice, practice your presentation. We want to avoid turning pages or cards as little as possible. So the more you can understand on that number that you've already put down on that piece of paper or card, usually I just need to look at it as a guide and I'll know how to move through the rest. But please practice because it does throw people off when you're just turning pages after pages after pages because they're thinking that, wow, how long is this going to be? Plan your moves. If you're going to be covering the room, which we talked about before, nothing wrong with that, make sure that your notes are on the table or the podium. Don't bring your notes with you as you're moving. Now you've created a strong monster. I'm trying to see where I'm at, so I'm away from the audience. And if I do something wrong and miss a point, it's not going to make that much sense. Choose the right hand that your strength is at. I'll say it a different way. Many times when you have note cards, many times when you have pieces of paper, I don't care how good you are, depending on the weather, outside, inside, or depending on your comfort level, being nervous, you can be shaking. And the people can see the paper shaking or the card shaking, and they're wondering if you're really ready to present this. Don't get distracted. Once again, if you're fielding Q&A, if there's a heckler that comes out, which we talked about in previous videos, so just go back and look, don't get distracted. That can really throw you off. Never read verbatim, which we talked about before. It becomes boring. They came to see you and your personality and how you personalize it. So make sure that we don't read from the notes. And how about challenge yourself to make sure that you continue to do some basics like smiling, or if you do have a joke or two to break it up as you do your transition, nothing wrong with any of that. But the key thing, just want to leave you with, if you do have notes, if you do have cards, if you do have a teleprompter, all depends what's there, and you do skip something, you do miss something, never, I repeat, never apologize. As you go from high school, if you're lucky to have that, or college, or your local station, and then you get to the national or international level, I want you to do this next time. They never make a mistake or say, I'm sorry, oops, I missed that. Now, on the local level, yeah, you do. But once you see the big time players, they never apologize. If I miss something, I just continue to move on. Because when you say oops, when you say I'm sorry, now the audience is really focused on you. Here's what I mean. They're focusing because did you miss something before that might have been important? Are we going to miss something again? How is this thing working? And the same thing happens if you use props materials. If you have extra slides and you find yourself skipping the slide, well, forget that, forget that. People are going to wonder, well, was it important? Why'd you have it in the deck to begin with? Once again, there's a lot of things that we can talk about when it comes to public speaking. That's why we do it every day. So if you got something out of this, great. You can always run it back. You can always look at some of the other series that we've already put out. So with that said, Brandon Hardison, as always, in parting, go on out and make it a champion.